Okay, so first things first, yeah, you're gonna hear the whirring of the space heater in the background. It's freezing outside. Okay, it's just I gotta run this. It's kind of the only way I can keep warm. Uh, anyway, NXT Vengeance Day wrapped up, give or take about a half an hour ago. I had to do a couple quick things before and set things up before I could start recording here. So, not too much to complain about, except again, if you're gonna do an hour-long kickoff show, you know, maybe put a match on there. Again, your NXT, like, half an hour kickoff show should be fine for NXT. Like, I keep harping on this. If we're not, just, okay, like, I'm tired of the not, exactly, because here's the thing, like, every ad says it starts at 5 o'clock my time, but then I go to Peacock and it says it starts at 4 o'clock. And it's like, how about this? Separate the kickoff show from that. If you're not going to do matches during it, then I can skip that and come in when the show is ready to start. Instead, I tuned in early thinking it was starting at 4 o'clock. And again, it's the same problem I have with like NASCAR broadcasts on Fox. They don't include their pre-race show either. It's just aggravating. Anyway, to start the show off, we had the North Americans Women's Championship, or the Women's North American Championship match between Fallon Henley and Stephanie McCurry. Early on, from the stands, they showed Jada Parker, Kalani Jordan, and Carmen Petrovich watching on with great interest. Early on, Henley put a nice body scissor roll-up type pin on McCurry, which McCurry countered into a crossface. Henley rolled out a head scissors. Henley countered an arm drag into a nice cross arm breaker. Eventually, they got outside the ring. Jasmine Nix distracted the ref, which allowed JCJ to hit McCurry with a big boot. McCurry came back and hit a savate kick, followed by a Tiger Fan kick. Henley came back, hit a running blockbuster. McCurry hit the Eat Defeat, then followed up with a Dragon Screw and a Meteora. It's at this point McCurry went for a roll-up pin. Henley countered out of it, and that allowed JCJ to hit another cheap shot on McCurry. McCurry eventually shrugged it off, went after everyone on the outside of the ring. She knocked Henley off the top rope. She went after Nix and Jay. Got back in. She hit the JVB and the Spiral Tap for the 3 count to become the new North American champion. Sorry, I probably should have taken a breath there. Anyway, McCurry hit the JVB and the Spiral Tap to become the new NXT North American Women's Champion. She celebrated, and then it was announced that Jordan, Petrovich, and Parker were going to face each other in a triple threat match to determine the new #1 contender for the championship. Afterwards, McCurry said she was going to be primarily focused on the main event, the women's 4-way match, which we'll get to, obviously. After that, it was the NXT Tag Team Championship match. Simon Fraser and Axiom, a.k.a. Fraxium, versus Joshua Briggs and Yoshika Inamura. Is it Inamura or Inumura? They kept saying both, like they kept mixing it up. I couldn't, so I'm running with Inamura on this. Fraxium immediately hit Inamura with a sandwich dropkick. Briggs got tagged in. He came in and hit Axiom with a big boot. Briggs and Inamura began hitting Axiom with a chokeslam backbreaker combination. Axiom came back, hit Inamura with the golden ratio kick. Fraser got the hot tag, began just unloading on both Briggs and Inamura. But eventually there was a miscalculation between the tag champs, and that allowed for Briggs and Inamura to hit a backdrop powerbomb for a 2 count. Briggs hit a big chokeslam on Fraser off the top rope. Inumura hit a kind of an airplane spin into a Death Valley driver on Axiom. Fraser broke that pin up. And then, again, he hit Fraser with a move to knock him out. Inumura went up to the top rope to his frog splash. Axiom pulled Fraser out of the way. Fraser hit Briggs with a Poison Rana. And then Fraxium hit a flying high-low and Inumura to get the 3 count of the victory. Afterwards, there was the silhouettes, the NXT silhouettes who have been attacking people. I guess it's Retribution 2.0, hit the ring and attacked both teams after they had shown some sportsmanship. And yeah, I'll get to who the silhouettes are a little bit later, who they are, and likely all. Well, two of them were identified. I don't know about the third or the fourth necessarily. Overall, that match was pretty good. The women's match was also really good starter. They managed to conquer the, Vakira managed to conquer the outside interference, and got some good licks in. And, obviously she had her moves well. I think that, is kind of portending a little bit here because, we'll get to the other major championship matches on this show, but you can tell, like, well, we probably should have at least one championship change on this show. And it's like, okay, which was the most likely? And it's like, I don't know how much interest there's been in Fallon Henley being North American champion. I know she beat Kalani Jordan, but yeah, all that did was make Jordan go dark. Yeah, other than that, there's not really much interest. As for the tag team division, this is probably going to help a little bit as, again, NXT's tag team division has been kind of floundering, especially on the men's side. The women's side is a little bit better, but not that much. Again, outside of Fraxium, their other, main tag team was Chase U. I guess Gallus is still around, I think, and yeah, that's kind of it. So yeah, they need some more tag teams to beef that up a little bit. Okay, our next match is the strap match between Trick Williams and Eddie Thorpe. Here's one more complaint just before we get into the match. They keep doing this on NXT where they keep showing, like, here are these two guys getting ready for their match, and then it's like, that's not the next match. Then why are you showing the two guys who are getting ready for... Yeah, that's where it just gets just confusing sometimes. Like I said, this is the strap match between Trick Williams and Eddie Thorpe. Thankfully, this is not the stupid strap match where we have to drag the guy to four corners and touch the turnbuckles. Finally, this is one of those, they get this right in NXT and then they get to the main roster and they coop it up with that. Anyway, right off the bat, Williams jumped Thorpe before, the strap can even be attached to either of them. He tosses Thorpe into the barricade, basically incapacitates him so that Williams winds up putting the strap on both men. It can't be taken out of context. Immediately starts attacking Thorpe with the strap. Thorpe comes back, hits Williams with the strap, ties him to the ring post and whips him several times. Thorpe wraps strap around Williams for a quick short elbow drop. Williams comes out with a big spine buster, uses the strap for a crossface maneuver. Williams comes back, hits a series of flapjacks. He sends Thorpe to the outside of the ring with a trick shot. However, as Thorpe gets back, Thorpe then uses the strap to hit a low blow and then hits basically a running single leg drop kick to the back of Williams to get the 3 count of the victory, and kind of a surprise. I think this is actually a good thing as, again, yes, I know about the big star who just showed up in NXT, but a lot of people are already putting him into the world title picture, and that does make sense, but I don't know if you want to do that right away. Again, let's have some other guys up there who could maybe stake a claim to it. Obviously Trick Williams, former champion, and so to have Eddie Thorpe win, that could set him up to be the next opponent for the world champion, which we'll get to when we'll get to there. But yeah, like, again, for the side of the NXT roster that is kind of floundering right now, I think they need to build up more threats for that championship. So to have an Eddie Thorpe in the picture, to have an Ethan Page in the picture, Javon Evans, I think that's going to definitely help. And yes, the new signee, who they're not calling by his name, so he's probably going to get some NXT assigned name, unfortunately. But yeah, we'll get to there when we get there. Okay, our next match was Ethan Page versus Javon Evans. Right off the bat, Page attempted to basically run for the ring. Evans hit a torpe suicida on the outside. They fought over the announce table. Evans attacked Page on the announce table. He hit a blue thunder bomb in the ring. He had a nice springboard forearm. Evans came back, hit a jumping cutter, jumping cutter finisher on the ring apron. He set up to stomp Page's head into the ring steps. However, Page dodged the stomp and tangled Evans' ankle up in the ring steps and sandwiched it. Evans began selling an injured ankle for the rest of the match. Page put Evans in a heel hook and an ankle lock and a half crab. Eventually, Page hit the Ego's Edge off the top rope and only got a 2 count. Evans hit a corkscrew Pele kick and then stomped on Page's jaw. Page had broken Evans' jaw earlier, about a month or so ago, and what they're doing is they're setting the idea of if Evans got hit in the jaw again, it could be serious. And just what happens is Evans goes for a sleeping cutter. Page manages to get just enough strength to land a big punch on Evans' jaw, and then he hit his twisting cutter finisher for the 3 count of the victory. I never got the name of that, unfortunately. Overall, this was a very good match. Very high impact, very intense. Good storytelling. Again, after the match, Evans was bleeding profusely. Evans was fighting with a mouth guard, supposedly to help protect his jaw a little bit, but when Page hit that big punch to counter the cutter, it immediately sent the mouth guard flying, and again, it just looked really intense, so they did a really good job of storytelling throughout that one. It was really fun. Our next match is the triple threat match for the NXT Championship. Obafemi versus Austin Theory versus Grayson Waller. Right off the bat, Waller super kicked Femi and then A-Town down under, double teamed the champ. But Femi came back, he had suplexes on both men. Theory and Waller clotheslined Femi out of the ring. And then began arguing over who got to hit the torpe, which allowed Femi to come back. Drop kick the fight on the outside. He ripped the top off the announce table. He chucked the ring steps at Theory. However, when he went after Waller, Waller hit a drop hold, sending him into the steps. They got back in the ring. They set a table up on the outside. Waller hit his flying elbow through the table. They got back in there. Theory hit the A-Town down under, but Femi managed, not the A-Town down, the A-Town down, and tried to get a cover on Femi. He kicked out. Eventually, Theory got another counter to fall from grace with a chair, and then hit a jumping DDT. He hit the A-Town down again, but Waller pulled the referee out of the ring. This was after Waller had been hit with a blue thunder bomb on the outside of the ring, on the announce table. And that, Waller sort of apologized, was trying to rationalize it, and then now Obafemi to recover. Hit another blue thunder bomb on Theory. Waller got in, hit his rolling stunner on Theory, but that enabled Femi to hit the fall from grace on Waller for the 3 count and the victory. Overall, okay match. Again, both men took good. Both the opponents took really good bumps, but yeah, other than that, the match is just a little too predictable. They're not going to have either of these guys beat Obafemi. I'm sure they're going to let NXT's new signee, Ricky Starks, again, probably be the one to dethrone Obafemi. I don't know when, but again, or you could have, like I said, Eddie Thorpe, Ethan Page. You have other guys who can compete for that championship. Yeah, I don't know if we need main roster people coming down. Again, I don't really like that in NXT. It just irks me. Like I said, Ricky Starks is signing his contract on the next episode of NXT. Again, he's not using his name, so I don't know if he's getting a new NXT name or not. But yeah, they're definitely referring to it as the absolute new star. So I don't know exactly if he can't use it or not, or if they want something they can trademark again. WWE often wavers on that. Again, you look at, say, Jordan Grace, who just came in as Jordan Grace, or obviously with Samoa Joe or James Storm and Eric Young, and like those ones, they let them kind of keep their indie name. Others, had to change it, so it could always change there. Anyway, afterwards though, again the Silhouettes hit the ring and attacked Obafemi and hit him with a 4-way power bomb, and basically, like I said, Retribution 2.0 here. Two of them have been identified, and it's Dion Lennox and Cutler James. Yeah, they've been on what was the NXT B show, Level Up. It's being replaced by a new B show called Evolve, which is airing on Tubi. And the other two are possibly Saquon Sugars, and there's some debate as to who the other one is. It's either Keanu Carter or Joshua Black. I barely know who any of these people are. I'm sorry, I never watched Level Up. There's only so much time in the day. Again, I'm all for trying to create new stars, especially with your homegrown NXT talent, and not just the people you sign off the indies. Again, that was actually an aspect of the Vecure Fallon Henley match, I think, that did pretty well. Because they were doing something they did that with the idea of Vecure is this person who made a name for herself in Japan and Mexico, and obviously wrestled in AEW even earlier last year before popping up in NXT. Literally a few weeks after that. So that was definitely an interesting idea. That's definitely an interesting idea of showing a bit of a split from, I said, the homegrown talent versus the indie stars who are coming in. So that could at least add a little bit of intrigue here and there. So again, that part I don't mind. Again, I don't know where they're going with this. If they're going to build these people to be legitimate contenders, again, Retribution. Remember that? And I know that was probably the former Booker's ego getting in the way there, but at the same time, it was like, we've kind of already seen this not really work that well. So, again, they should have unmasked on the show. I think that's what you should be doing. Instead, I guess they're showing up, they're going to unmask next time on NXT, even though, again, most of them were already identified. In fact, a couple of their masks actually fell off. So, yeah, you can see where the problem falls in with that. And like I said, the match itself was all right. I had to go to the bathroom really bad at one point, so I missed a chunk of it. So maybe that did cut a little bit of my enjoyment, but at the same time, it's like, again, you knew Obafemi wasn't going to lose this. Again, like they're saving him for someone else. And that leads us into our main event, the 4-way match for the NXT Women's Championship. Julia versus Roxanne Perez versus Bayley versus Cora Jade. And if you noticed my thumbnail there, they didn't change it to a 4-way until just this past Tuesday, which, again, I don't like when they do that. It was Tuesday, and I had basically made that thumbnail on Monday. So, but anyway, and that's how Cora Jade wasn't in that initial picture, if you saw it. Anyway, Vecure was backstage. She said she was going to be particularly focused on the event as it happened. Right off the bat, Julia basically left Bayley to be attacked by Jade and Perez until she went in for a cheap shot, and then they double-teamed Julia. Julia countered a roast plane into a bulldog. Bayley and Perez hit torpes, hit stereo torpes to the others. Again, Perez and Cora Jade worked a very, sometimes they were friends and sometimes they were at each other's throats until one would do one thing and then, usually it was Cora Jade. They both hit a corner splash on Julia, but then almost immediately Cora hit a running knee on Roxanne. Perez snapped an attack Jade at one point after that. Jade hit a big swanton to the outside of the ring. She started having some type of wardrobe malfunction with her top because she kept futzing with it. She had a Tower of Doom. Julia hit Bayley with a Northern Lights suplex. She then put on a flying octopus. Like I said, this all built up to a big Tower of Doom spot where, again, Jade seemed to have some problem with her talk because she kept futzing with it. She tried to get a pin. She got kicked out. Bayley went for a quick roll-up, but then Perez countered and hit pop rocks on Bayley. She went for the pin, but then Jade went and hit the double arm DDT on Perez, and then Julia hit her running knee strike, the Rivederci, on Jade, and then hit the Northern Lights bomb for the 3 count of the victory. Overall, fun match, good moments in there. Again, probably falls in the category of being a tiny bit predictable. Julia just won the championship. They're not going to take it off her. Roxanne Perez was already headed up to the main roster, so I don't know if we're ever going to get the Cora Jade Roxanne Perez feud or not, which they were obviously building to at some point, but don't know. Yeah, again, Bayley, main roster person coming back down. Again, I'm not a huge fan of that. And if this is just a one-off and we're building towards a Bayley-Roxanne Perez feud, that's okay. But again, like, I'm still not a huge fan of them coming down to NXT. It's just, that's the one thing that's been happening way too much the last few years. Like, you had Bayley, you had A-Town Down Under, you know, it goes back to Dolph Ziggler coming down and beating Braun Breaker twice. Yeah. You know, I'm not a huge fan of that happening. I always think like NXT needs to, they need to kind of have their own separate universe, for lack of a better term, before they get drafted up to the main roster. And, you know, so I'm not always a huge fan of that, but again, like, it does fall a little bit into predictability. Afterwards, though, Stephanie McCure came out and seemed to celebrate with Julia as they had formed something of a friendship, but as they were holding their championships up, Vecchia couldn't help but give just a little bit of a side eye to the NXT Women's Championship. And then just as they start putting the end credits up, Jordan Grace's music hits, she comes out and stares down both women, and that's how the show ends. Like I said, overall, very enjoyable show. Again, the only problem I would fall into a bit of it is predictability with the, for lack of a term, top belts, and even predictability with a bit of the undercard, like I said. Like, you know, if we're not going to change any champion, we might as well at least change one championship. And, you know, again, it seemed pretty obvious it was probably going to be the North American Women's Championship. You could maybe argue the Tag Team Championships just because, again, Fraxium runs into this problem of taking teams too lightly and getting their butts kicked and then barely squeaking by. And you think at some point it's going to come back to bite them. I mean, in a way it kind of did, because Chase U won it and then immediately dropped it right back to them. And then Chase U disbanded, which already, you know, limited a already kind of meager, and I'm being kind when I say meager NXT Tag Team division. So, again, maybe these Silhouette people, a couple of them could team up and be a team. I mean, that would kind of be nice. Just, again, we need more tag teams. We need more tag teams on the main roster, too. Again, tag team, for some reason, I don't know why it is, tag team wrestling has taken such a step back in WWE. It is rather irksome. It's just, yeah. It is one of the main things I will complain about. I mean, you could say what you will about AEW, and I understand AEW has been far from perfect this year by any stretch of the imagination. But I do think they have a better handle on their tag team division than WWE does. They just do. Again, you look elsewhere, it's like, and tag team wrestling is good to great, and here it's, you know, almost good. And, you know, there's just not enough to go around, it seems. I don't know, and let's not even start on the women's tag titles, which are barely ever defended. And again, like, if we're going to have them, let's build divisions for them. And, you know, give them time. And, you know, not just, you know, piggyback, pogo the belts around all the time. That would be really helpful. Anyway, I think that summed everything up there. Overall, I'm going to give the show a B. I think it was very solid. Like I said, it fell a little bit too much into predictability. That's kind of what happens this time of year. I don't know how they're going to build Stand and Deliver. I know they have Roadblock coming up as well. That's another one. That's going to be strictly on the CW, though, so I don't know if I'm going to review that. Not really, just right after everything else that's happening. Okay, so next video is going to be the random trade review on a Harlequin Romance, A Question of Marriage. I am planning to get that up on Wednesday. It should be up there. If not, it'll be up on Thursday. There will be another I'm Sure of It video. If you saw my Royal Rumble video, which I hope a bunch of you have, there'll be another one in the vein of that coming up for Elimination Chamber. And of course, there will be the recap and review for Elimination Chamber. And I also I'm planning to do AEW Revolution, but that one's very tenuous because obviously I have to pay extra. Okay, so see you all next time. Hey guys, remember, you can help me expand my professional wrestling coverage by supporting me on Patreon at patreon.com/SleepyTimeForCat Productions. Also, remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Yeah.